Babel protocol activated.
What? What's Babel protocol? Why am I ticking?
It's the self-destruct sequence.
What?
Self-destruct?
I'm sorry. Have we not faced an evil version of Barry before? My mistake.
Do you have an update?
Subject 1 has been located.
He's safe. Locked up in the metahuman wing at Iron Heights as we speak.
He's right where you wanted him. What do we do now?
Now we find the others.
Hey everybody, now we find the others. So this is going to be my episode 2 video. It was crazy with Easter eggs. There was even some low-key Arrow crossover. So there's a new round of that Justice League ticket giveaway. I'll announce a winner at the end of this. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So let's just get into it. So top 10 WTF, I'll do Easter eggs as we go along. Number 10, they open on Oliver's old apartment, some tech billionaires buying it before he's taken down by Kilgore. If you didn't recognize this, we've seen it so many times in the last couple of seasons on Arrow. A bunch of different people have lived in it, but physically it's been located in Star City. So I think they're just using this set, and it's not the actual Oliver's apartment. So it's not like the Central City Police Department heard about the crime and then came all the way to Star City to solve it, because they would have had the Star City Police there too. So it gets a little meta. I don't know if they're still using this apartment on Arrow though, but the set is still there. They didn't blow it up, so it might still be around. But the other big Arrow crossover is when they pick up the newspaper outing Oliver as the Green Arrow. So this is why you need to watch Arrow, because this is a direct reference to something that happened at the very end of Arrow episode 1 last week. Somebody outed him on live television, so of course all the news outlets are reporting it now, and they'll address that big info bomb on Arrow episode 2 this Thursday. So you can watch to find out what happens and what comes from this. But obviously people are starting to learn about Oliver being the Green Arrow, so we'll talk about that during my Arrow video in a couple days. But then as they said that they're lightening the tone this year, they cut to the Bob Seger montage from Risky Business with Barry doing his best Tom Cruise impression. If you haven't seen that movie, it's actually a really good movie, and he drops all kinds of Easter eggs while he's doing his binge watch at 1,000 times the pace that you would normally watch television shows. So it turns out that Barry and Oliver watch a whole bunch of HBO. He makes a couple of Game of Thrones references. Cisco makes a Silicon Valley reference later in the episode, so I guess they're just huge fans of those shows. But now we know that Game of Thrones and HBO exist within the world of Flash and Arrow. The funny thing about that too is that I know now, because he told me, Stephen Amell watches my Game of Thrones videos because that's one of his favorite shows in real life too. So Barry and Oliver watch Game of Thrones, but also the actors in real life are big fans, but everybody's a big fan of Game of Thrones. Number 7, Cisco unveils the new suit, and we learn about all its different abilities over the course of the episode, but it has like that big life raft that turns him into the Fat Flash. That's right out of the comics. You've probably seen this cover. That was a story where a villain shot him with a gun to increase his mass to slow him down. He was trying to keep him from running super speed. He wasn't actually trying to make him fat. We learned that it has an automatic Speed Force pulse cannon that the suit itself can control. There's an AI system in it. It has a heads-up display Iron Man style. So a lot of you were writing Iron Flash in my Twitter timeline. But we also learned, number 7, the Babel protocol really is the Batman Tower of Babel protocol, his contingency plan for taking out the members of the Justice League in case they go rogue. Haven't we faced an evil version of Barry before? The solution that Iris came up with too, shocking himself with his own lightning throw, is also sort of a callback to Season 2, Episode 2, the first time he learned to throw lightning. So, like I said, lots of callbacks to the first couple of seasons. Number 6, we learn all about Kilgore's backstory on the TV show. So he's a comic book character, but he's more of a Brainiac type character in the comics. On the TV show, they're turning him into more of a metahuman character who got his powers through something that the Thinker did. He says, we need to find the others. I'll address this too because it's one of my big WTF moments. But whatever it was that happened to them sounds like something that happened to the Thinker. So like he isn't somebody who's being really evil and experimenting on other people, but their shared experience gave them all of their powers. So in the world of the show, the name Kilgore was the app that he was developing with the other billionaires that screwed him over Mark Zuckerberg style. So if you haven't seen The Social Network, it's actually a really good David Fincher movie, but that's basically what happens in that movie. It's sort of a satirical version of the story of how Mark Zuckerberg sort of screwed over the people that helped develop Facebook.
You're Zuckerberging me?
I was Zuckerberging people before Zuckerberg's balls dropped. I'm the devil, biatch! What?
But in the comics, Kilgore is an alien intelligence who comes to Earth and needs other technology to survive. So he just starts taking over other tech. He's not cybernetic or anything like that. But after Barry defeats him, he comes back in a Justice League story and takes over the mind of Maxwell Lord. So number 5, there was a whole bunch of relationship comedy in the episode. Caitlin is sort of the funny advisor, like, oh, me and Ronnie, we actually had some counseling together. So Ronnie name drop. There's all kinds of season 1 callbacks in this episode.
Rule number 1, when a girl says it's fine, it's not fine.
Amen.
I'm gonna go.
But the biggest ones during therapy are about them talking about all the people that have died so far, all their friends. Barry's like, yeah, my mom died. Oh, my dad died too. He's actually watched his mom die on 3 separate occasions. Once when he was a little kid, the very first time. The second time when he went back at the end of season 1 to save her, he had to watch her die again. And then at the end of Flashpoint during the beginning of season 3. But they're like, Ronnie died, Snart died, HR died, my mom, Eddie, we grew up together. They're just making fun of all the crazy issues that they have. And there are a lot. Like when you think about it, it's like, oh man, that's messed up. But the whole reason for that is number 4, is that Barry came back and apparently his binge watch didn't include all the relevant data on the city. So everything has changed in the last 6 months and he has no idea what's going on. So he's just running around making all kinds of mistakes, not because he's dumb, but just because he assumes that everything is the same and it's not. So probably the bigger moment from this therapy session is where Iris flat out admits that she was totally not cool with Barry going back into the Speed Force. Even though he did it for the right reasons, she's still really bitter about that, and they don't solve that in this episode. So that will probably continue even if they don't go back to therapy in a future episode. But aside from that Green Arrow moment, probably the funniest thing about this is when she's first trying to pitch him the idea of therapy, and he hears he got some special advice from Caitlin about relationships, so they make it look like he thinks she got some hot sex tips until she drops the therapy bomb on him and it just stops him short. Ugh. And then there's all the Cisco Dirty Magazine jokes too. I wish you were looking at a dirty magazine when Gypsy catches him. Like this is somehow worse than you looking at naked women. But number 3, all the Gypsy stuff. So this is sort of teeing up Breacher, her father, coming on in a couple episodes. He's not coming on right away, but it's not meant to be like a big villain situation, even though he's a villain in the comics. They're just teasing that their relationship is getting very serious. And the thing I'm wondering about this too is that she's not going to be around that much the back half of the season. So there's going to have to be some big WTF reason for her not to be around, even though it seems like their relationship is ramping up to the next level. Like they're not at Barry and Iris level, they're not going to get married anytime soon, but something crazy has got to happen in the next couple of episodes for them. But number 2, they take Kilgore to Iron Heights prison. He doesn't seem all that concerned with it, like he's right where he wants to be. The warden is somebody we meet from the comics. If you haven't been reading the Rebirth comics, literally just the last issue this past week introduced the warden in the Rebirth universe. He's not necessarily an evil character, but there was a plot line, and I'll explain this a little bit more if it turns out that they're actually doing this, where there were people inside Iron Heights prison experimenting on inmates. So that might be what that post-credit scene was a reference to. So like you see the warden look in here with this really evil smile, like he's got plans for Kilgore, like, oh, maybe he's doing this to other inmates too. So number 1, of course, was the Thinker post-credit scene where he says, time to find the others. And you see this board with 12 slots. Kilgore is the first one. So they imply that all of these people got their powers through some crazy experiment. It probably has something to do with what the warden and maybe the Thinker is tied up in. Now, my initial takeaway was that maybe the warden might be working with the Thinker, but I think the way that they played it, the Thinker didn't come away seeming very evil in this scene. The warden seemed like the evil person, so maybe the Thinker was a victim of something that the warden did or something related, and he's trying to do something good, but through his actions will become the big bad of the season because they told us that the Thinker is the big villain this season. But looking at the warden here, doesn't he just feel like a much bigger villain after the end of this episode? So let me know in the comments, what was your favorite moment, and what do you think is going on with the warden, the Thinker, and these 12 metahumans that got their powers from some other crazy experiment? Just to drop another big info bomb, no spoilers, but we found out when the Reverse Flash is coming back exactly. But because it's super spoilery and they haven't released an official promo or official images for it, I'm not going to include them in this video or say which episode, but you might know what I'm talking about. He's coming back a little sooner than I expected, but I am 99.9% sure of the way that he's coming back and how that's going to work. But if you really want me to make a video for it, just let me know if you want me to do Reverse Flash. But what'll happen is I'll do a trailer video for next week's episode next, then I have some Titans Nightwing to post, and then obviously we have Arrow on Thursday. So congratulations to Jason Todd, you're this week's giveaway winner. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. I'll announce a new winner when I post that trailer video. You can click here for all my other Flash, and you can click here to rewatch that Black Panther trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.